Dwellers in Darkness, Chapter 2. At times like this, Iruni looked back fondly on his days as a Rahaga. It wasn't so bad, being short and twisted, and spending all your time chasing after brackass monkeys. At least you didn't have to stand on rolling decks, staring at the crazed leader of the Dark Hunters as he prepared to slaughter an entire island full of, well, not so innocent vortex. "You know I can't let you do this," Toiruni said. "I know you can't stop me," the Shadowed One replied, smiling. "My new partner suggested I occupy Zia, but I must have misheard. I could have sworn she said destroy." Iruni was about to make a smart comeback when the seas started to churn and heave. The next moment, a tidal wave big enough to swamp the entire Dark Hunter fleet rose from the ocean depths. It towered hundreds of feet in the air, and just stayed there, looming over the ships like the shadow of doom. "Is that enough water to clean out your ears?" Iruni turned. Standing on the bow of the ship was a tower of water he did not recognize, carrying a spiked mace and a shield. She was flanked by a warrior in golden armor, and a four-armed giant with two long horns coming out of his head. He alone was heavy enough to almost swamp the ship. He carried a multi-bladed axe and a small object covered in a cloth. The female Toa stepped down to the deck and marched up to the Shadowed One. Although he was taller than she, her bearing made her seem to dominate everyone on board. "I hired the Dark Hunters for a simple task," she said, her voice as quiet as a dying breath. "If you can't do it..." She held the mace aloft. The tidal wave suddenly rushed forward toward the ships, almost colliding with the flagship. It stopped dead again as she lowered her weapon. "I'll find someone who can," she finished. Iruni looked from the Toa to the obviously concerned Shadowed One, and back again. "Nice," he said. "What do you do for an encore?" The Toa nodded, and the Golden Warrior vanished. He reappeared an instant later with the other 5 Toahaga in tow. They arrived to see the Shadowed One in intense whispered conversation with the Toa of Water. It ended when the Toa blasted 3 nearby Dark Hunters into the sea, as casually as someone else might swat a gnat. Then she turned to the assembled Toahaga. "Ah, good," she said. "I have a mission for the 6 of you." "Wait a minute," snapped Norik. "Who are you? What's going on here?" "And we don't take requests from anybody wearing a mask," said Coolus. Then he turned to Norik and added, "Do we?" Norik shook his head. "My name is Helrix," said the Toa of Water. "I run an organization you never heard of called the Order of Mata Nui. We are at war, and you've just been drafted." "And if we say no?" asked Toa Blamonga. Helrix gave a slight smile. Her eyes darted toward the ocean off the starboard side, where the 3 Dark Hunters were desperately trying to tread water. Then she looked back at the Toahaga. "Yes, you don't take requests as I understand it. Good thing I'm not making one." "What is it you want us to do?" asked Toapooks. Seeing Iruni's glare, he said, "Well, it doesn't hurt to ask." Helrix took a few steps closer and lowered her voice so the Dark Hunters could not overhear. "We are mounting an attack on the Brotherhood of Makuta, but their leader eludes us. Our best information is that he was last known to be inside a Maxilos robot near Mari Nui, but where he may have gone to since then is unknown. We need Makuta Pterodax found." "Why us?" asked Iruni. "You've fought him before. You've beaten him before," Helrix replied. "And we all remember how well that turned out," muttered Iruni. Helrix ignored him. "If I am right, Pterodax has gone somewhere no one else has ever dared to venture. Left free, he could do untold damage." "And just how are we supposed to track him down?" asked Blamonga. "Knock on the doors at Deathstroll and ask if he can come out to play?" Helrix chuckled. "There may not be doors left to knock on soon, but that's another story. You will have a guide, someone who has generously offered to work with you in exchange for his freedom." The 4-armed giant took a step forward, and at first they thought Helrix meant him. But instead, he took the cloth off the object he carried. which was revealed to be a globe filled with water, and something else, what looked like a green sea snake with haze-filled crimson eyes. "His name is Zaktan," said Helrix. "He's not as friendly as he looks. If he acts up, just haul him out of the tank and let him gasp for air a few times. That's what I always do. And now I think it's time you got started." The Toahaga looked at each other. One by one, each of them nodded. All except Gaaki. She was backing away, shaking her head, hands up to the sides of her mask. "Death," she whispered. "All around. We are going to a place of death. And one of us will not return." To be continued.